Joe Biden and Kamala Harris spent a lot of time talking about MAGA as a fascist movement until he won the election and Biden invited him to sit down at the White House and have a peaceful transition of power. You don't do that to Hitler. Hitler is not entitled to a decent, peaceful transition of power. He's entitled to be assassinated. This is Peter Bradshaw. What do the two of you think of the use of labels and slurs in politics? I can think of these recent examples: fascist, Hitler, and commie, to which I add parenthetically apartheid,
genocide,
ethnic cleansing. Here are some historical examples. Pimp applied to President Pierce in 1855, drunkard regarding President Grant in 1868, and moral leper regarding Grover Cleveland in 1884. What are the effects of labels and slurs? Does the use of labels and slurs suggest anything about the user? I find that to be an interesting question. Maybe I should defer to the linguist. I'll just observe. I'm not surprised that there are historical examples, because the temptation to call one's opponent a bad name, unacceptable, outside of the realm of legitimate political activity can be very powerful. Communist, a Marxist. Anybody who's in favor of the New Deal in 1946 is a Marxist. Anybody who is left of center on national health care and wants Medicare for all now is a communist. This kind of idea. Likewise, fascist and Nazi. I can see the temptation. These are not descriptive. They are emotive uses of words. It's politics. After all, you're trying to get people to get off their couch and go and vote one way or another. You're trying to get their juices flowing. On the other hand, to the extent that they are clearly false claims about people, I'm left of center socialist, therefore I'm a Marxist, I'm a communist, I'm someone who wants Russia to prevail in the Cold War, that discredits the person who uses the slur. It undermines their credibility. And likewise, calling someone a fascist. I mean, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris spent a lot of time talking about MAGA as a fascist movement until he won the election and Biden invited him to sit down at the White House and have a peaceful transition of power. You don't do that to Hitler. Hitler is not entitled to a decent, peaceful transition of power. He's entitled to be assassinated. So how can I take you seriously next time when you go to such vituperation and exaggeration and hyperbole, and then revert to norm when the voters don't confirm what you say? So that's a comment.
I didn't know Franklin Pierce was a pimp. I thought he was a drinker. But
well, those things are not inconsistent with one another.
Okay. Anyway, using slurs in that way is something that we do, human beings do, because it's natural to seek to find some sort of coherence or system or broader explanation for all of the chaos that's buzzing around us. You're trying to make sense of things. And if you call somebody a commie because they like the New Deal or because they think Obamacare was a good thing, obviously that's a vast distortion of what the term originally meant. But it's a way of saying all of this can be explained if you just realize that ultimately these people are, etc. They are this thing. All sorts of other things about them are going to fall out from that thing. It's a way of trying to make an explanation. There's that. Also, there's the fact that terms' meanings tend to change over time, and that change often is a matter of generalization. So, for example, the term fascist, all these articles, trying to explain, is Donald Trump a fascist in terms of what the term meant in 1932. It's beginning to be used in a more general way, and I'm not sure we can get the horse back into the barn. We're talking about a general, vague sense of the authoritarian as opposed to what Mussolini's regime actually was like. But we're trying to make sense of things. And so, yes, those things are going to happen. Or Ulysses S. Grant. How did you feel about his politics? How did you feel about his, the way he was waging war? Well, one way to dismiss him was just he's a drunk. So whatever he's doing, he's not doing it as well as he could, or he's doing it wrong, or he did it by accident. He's a drunk. You're trying to explain. That's what people do. And so that's why slurs get used in that way. It's a kind of mess that I think we just have to tolerate because it's part of being a person, and people have emotions, and people seek to make sense out of the chaos, or they should try to make sense out of the chaos instead of just saying things like apartheid. But yeah, that's what I would say.